Okay, now it's telling me Tableau, so I click on that to activate. Now, once you get into your Gmail, you are activated. It seems you already have an account with us. If okay, I've already got an account with them, you can reset the password. Okay, since I've already got an account, no, it will give a link to activate. You click on that link. Then when you click on that link, it will activate that. Once you activate it, it will now take you back to the page. Now take you back to the page. Once you activate it, you take you back to the page. Once you take you back to the page, you take you back to this page. You sign in. Then you sign in. Since I've already got an account with them, I've already used that email. So I have to sign in. Oh, I remember my password. Let me quickly reset my password because I can't remember the password I used. Wow. I'm sorry for that. Please, I'm sorry for that. Okay, let me have a new password. Okay, now I've changed my password now. So let me log in. Um, so you log in and you put in your password. Okay, now, okay, I'm not in. Okay, now, when you want to download, I'll advise you change this. Um, I'll advise you change that. Use something like this. Then you click on complete signing. Then once you are done with that, the next thing, then it will take you to this particular page to download the dataset. Then you click on this and you click on this download Tableau desktop. The very when you click on that, you'll start downloading the, the desktop. Okay, you fill in again. What did I use? Okay, That's something. Okay, now you can see the download has started. I've already downloaded this on my system, so I don't want to download that any further. So once you are done with the download, you go to the installation folder, you click on that, you follow the installation process, and that is how you can download the Tableau public on your system. Then, while the other Tableau type of Tableau, you can also download the other types of Tableau on your system. But I already told you about them, that most of the other types of Tableau, do you have other features uh, that comes with it? You only have it as a trial version for a period of 14 days. After that 14 days, you're expected to pay to subscribe for that particular Tableau. So in this training, I'll be using Tableau Public for this particular training. Okay, now this is my Tableau Public. So the Tableau Public is on. This is my Tableau Public. I've opened the window. Now you can see at the top of it, you can see Tableau Public. I have nothing here. On the right hand side here, you can see what's new. There is a latest version on Tableau. That is the new latest version. I would advise not to update that this particular version for now. Then we have videos and we have videos link on the right hand side. You can watch out video. You can learn. If you want to learn things about Tableau, you can see that there. Then on the left hand side here, we have the connect button. The moment you click on that, it brings you to the main Tableau window. Click on it again, it collapses that. Then we have those particular points here, we have to connect now to a file. Now, this Tableau public now that we're using, now we're only limited to connect to these types of file. You can connect to Microsoft Excel, you can connect to a text file, you can connect to a JSON file, you can connect to Microsoft Access, you can connect to PDF, partial file, and statistical file. Now, these are the files that we can connect with Tableau Public. Then onto a server, that is, you want to connect to a database like Oracle, SQL. Once you click on this, it gives you the server you can connect. So now you can see I'm limited to just only this. These are the only thing I can connect when it comes to server. I can't connect more with more than this. Why? Because I'm using Tableau Public. That's the restriction, that's the limitation of using Tableau Public. So because I'm using Tableau Public, that's I'm limited. I don't have, I can only connect to this, the server 123 using Tableau Public. But even I'm using Tableau Desktop Professional or the other types of Tableau products, you'll see a list of databases here that you can connect to. But for the fact that I'm using Tableau Public, is a free version. It doesn't have a expire period. You can. This is only what I'm limited to. So that is that. Now you want to connect your file to Tableau. First and foremost, we have the file menu here. This file menu helps you to open a new Tableau screen. You want to open a new Tableau screen. You click on that. You want to open it. You save a Tableau on your system. You can click on this to open. and this is to open from a Tableau public, that is an online. I want to hide the start page. You use this to hide the start pages to manage my profile. When you click on it, it will take me to online where I can log in and edit my profile or manage my profile. Why this is to exit. Now we have the data here. Now currently I have nothing here. Why you have the help menu where you just like every other like Microsoft software or every other software, you always have the help menu where you can get help from. Now that is that. Now I want to connect to Tableau. Now, first and foremost, how do we connect to Tableau? Now I have different types of Tableau file here. First and foremost, where do you want to connect from? Now I want to connect from an Excel spreadsheet. Let me put up the Excel spreadsheet I want to connect from. Now I want to connect from an Excel spreadsheet. Let me bring up the Excel spreadsheet. Now this is an Excel spreadsheet. This is an Excel spreadsheet I want to connect to. This an Excel spreadsheet I want to connect to. First and foremost, before you can start using Tableau for data analysis, okay, please. First thing for please, sorry. Very soon I'll be going offline. The very when I go in offline, you can come in again back with this same link. You can use the same link to log in. Okay, sorry. I hope you're seeing my screen. Okay. Yeah, sorry. You can see it now. Okay, fine. Now this is the Excel file I want to load in. This is my Excel file. Now we want to load in a file in Tableau. For instance, I want to work with this Excel file. Now normally you need to understand the data sets, which is the basics. You're trying to know the data sets. So once you are given the data for analysis, you need to understand the data set. So you try to go through the data and understand the data set. Like this particular data set is US gun violence. It is about gun violence in US before the introduction of the gun control measures in US. Now, you can see the data set. You can see my data set as headers. You can see the headers of my data set. And you can see it has rows. And each in this row, I don't have a row header. So Tableau doesn't work with a row header. So Tableau doesn't work with the row header. So and also, while working with Tableau, avoid a situation whereby your data set will have there will be some cells that there is no data inside those particular cells. So just format your data set, let your data set be well formatted. That doesn't have a row header. It has a column header, and the column header are well written. and the code also in between the rows, that there is no empty space in between the rows, and so on and so forth. Then next thing you need to understand your data set, that which is the basics. You have to consume the data, because you can't start carrying out analysis without consuming the data set. You must consume the data set, understand the data set first before you're able to start creating analysis. Just as I said earlier on, if I happen to go offline, you can log in again with the same link. Okay. Now, I want to connect to that data set. First and foremost, I have to close the data set. Now, I've closed the data set now. Now, I'm on my Tableau screen. I hope you can see my Tableau screen. Please, can you see my Tableau screen? Okay, fine. Yeah, so now I'm on my Tableau screen. Now I want to connect. The file I want to connect, my data sets are located in an Excel file. Now, note that in Tableau, you can't use CSV file to connect in Tableau. You can see there's no CSV file here. Do I have a text file here? I have a text option there. But, so my data set is located in Excel. So I'm going to click on Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to click on Microsoft Excel. The moment I click on Microsoft Excel, I'm going to locate where my file is. Um, I'm going to double click that. That is the gun violence in US. I'm going to double click that. The moment I double click it, um, it will be loaded on the Tableau window or the Tableau environment. Now you can see the Tableau environment now. I'm now on the Tableau environment now. Now, this is the dataset now. I've clicked on the dataset. Now you can see the data menu now has a lot of options here. You have a lot of options on the data menu. Previously, when I not loaded my data set into the Tableau, I don't have all these options. But the moment I load a data set, when you load a data set into your Tableau, window Tableau environment, you're able to see all these options now. Now this helps you to refresh your data set. Now, should I open my Excel spreadsheet and I add a column, or I happen to do one or two editing in my source data set, I can refresh that data source. I can refresh the data source and it will reflect it on this particular data set here. Now I can use this to duplicate my data set. Um, okay, now I can export this sheet as a CSV file. Now this sheet that I've just loaded, I can click on that and click on sheet one just to export it. Now when I click on that, it will bring me to this window. Let me bring up the window. It will export that particular sheet. That particular sheet will be exported. Okay, it will bring up a menu. It will bring up the dialog box for me to save that data set. I'm trying to load it, but I'm not seeing the screen. So it will bring up a dialog box where we can save that. So you click on where you want to save, and you click on save, just how you save on Excel spreadsheet. So that's just the normal saving. So when you do that, it will export that file as a CSV file. I'm trying to bring up the window, but I can't see the window. So it will export that data set as a CSV file. Okay, thank you very much for that. So it will export the data set as a CSV file. So that's that. So the next one with now this talks about close the data source. Now this is my data source. I'm already on the data source page. You can see at the bottom here we have a tab here known as data source. So when I click on this to say close the data source, it closes my data source page. Now you can see I'm now in my main Tableau page. So when I click on the data source, I I come back to this data source. Now when I come back to this data source, you can see that my data I no longer have my data because I've already closed my data source page. So what am I going to do? I have to load in my data set. So I have to reload my data set all over again. So I'm going to click on that and reload the data set. So that closes the data source. This particular options, that particular command close the data source. Now we have edit data source filter. I'm going to show you this when we go into the tab how you can edit your data source filter. Okay. Let me come there. Let's see. Let me just show you one or two things. Okay, let's assume I have this here. Um, let's I have this here. I create a simple visualization. Where is the okay? Now this is a total victim of gun violence. Now you can see I have the various locations where gun violence occurred in US. These are the various locations where gun violence occurred in US, in airports, in military zone, in other places, in religious center, in school, and in workplace. Now, uh, these are the total victims for each of the gun violence that occurred in US in each of those places. Now, I come to this particular place. Let's go back to our data source page and we click on that. Now, take note, I'm in sheet one here. You see, when I click on sheet one, I have menus here, additional menus. When I click on this, you can see my option under the data menu. You can see that I only have few options. Why? Because I'm in sheet one. The very moment I go to data source sheets, I click on that. You can see the menu I have are different because I'm on different sheets. Take note of that because I'm on different sheets. So, but when I come back to sheet one and I click on the data menu, you can see I only have a very few command there. That will tell you that the, the, the menu there are different because I'm on a different sheet. The menu I see on the data menu there is different from what I see in sheet one. So let me go back to my data source page. Now on my data source page now, we have to I wanted to show us how to edit this particular filter here. Okay, now I have this now. Take note, in this particular sheet one, I have airport, military, religious center, and the rest of them. So I go back to my data source page and I click on data. I go to edit data source filter. When I click on edit data source filter, it brings up the edit data source filter dialog box. Then I can now click on add filter. Now I want to add a filter. Now I'm still interested. I can pick any of this. You can pick any of this field, but I'm still interested in that location where gun violence occurred in US. I click on that and I click on OK. Then when I click on OK, now let's assume I'm only interested in religious center. I'm only interested in a workplace and also, okay, let's assume I'm only interested in just only these two places where gun violence occurred in US. I click on OK. Then when I click on that, I click on OK. I click on that. That will also affect your data source. Now, when you come back to your sheet one, you can see it's only displaying my data source for religious center and workplace. Or if I create additional data source here or additional visualization here, all the visualization will be affected by that particular action that I took. Now you can see because I make use of I edited the data is only displaying just only for those two places location where gun violence occurred in US. So I go back to this place and I go to edit my data source. Now I can do a lot of things. I can edit it. If I want to add additional ones, I can add additional ones here. I can simply click all to, or I click none to do that. So I can click all and I click OK. When I click all, I click OK and I click back on OK. I go back to my sheet one. You can see it displays the gun violence are occurred in US at the various places now. So I go back to my data source sheet. I go back to data and I go to edit data source filter. Now I can do it. I can decide to remove this. I can decide to add more to that field. When you click add, I can decide to say I want to add gender to it. It all depends on what you want to add. So let's click on cancel and let me remove that there and click on OK. So we have other command. They will add assume a reference integrity. Now joining node values to node values. We don't have node values there. Maintain character case Excel. That's you want to maintain the way your data set came with the character of your data set, the capital letter, the small letter, and the rest of that. Now we go to window. Now currently they show the status bar. The status bar is here, is indicated at the bottom of your window. In all Microsoft documents, this is so when you uncheck it, it removes the status bar there. Then when you click it, it brings up the status bar. Here, this is where the status bar is. Whenever, for instance, I create a visualization now you can see at the bottom here, it gives me some, it displays some information at the bottom here, telling me 6 marks. I have one row by 6 columns. Now this is one row, okay? That's one row by 6 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's and I have what the sum of total victim. It gives me the sum of total victim. So this is your status bar. So the moment you uncheck that, it removes that. Now you can edit the connection, you can rename that, and so on. So this the window that's where the status bar is and the help menu for the help. Now let's look at this. On this right hand here, you have this button. When I click on it, to show the start page. Now that's the start page. If I want to go back to my Tableau sheet, I click on this to go back to my Tableau sheet. Then this is to undo any action you take. Undo and redo button. We are familiar with that. This is to refresh my data sets. So either you refresh your data source here, or you click here to refresh your data. So these are just shortcut commands. Now, if here this add button, if I want to add additional data set to my data set, let's assume I want to add another data set. I click on that. But first and foremost, before I add that, when I loaded this data set, you can see a mark here, a blue mark here, that Tableau is telling me that is for this particular data set, gun violence in US. And you can see along this place, you can see the same blue mark here that identifies this particular data set. So I can click to collapse and expand. So if I want to add another data set here, I click on this. But when I click on it, it brings up the add a connection pop-up menu. Now in this add pop-up menu, I can click. Let's assume I want to add another Excel file. This time around, I want to add a file about the sales of a product. Though it's not related to gun violence, but normally when you're analyzing data, the file you add on your data set must be a related file. But this is teaching. We are just trying to understand how to make use of those software. So this actually has no relationship with this. These two data sets are different, but just for teaching purpose. Now you can see it's using the orange to identify this data set here. To say that this orange is for this particular data set. But the blue here is still showing. Why? Because this gun violence is what is here. The moment I remove this and I go to this and I pick a particular data set and drop there, you can see the orange has replaced the blue line. So identifying that particular data set. So let's identify this particular data set, this identify this particular data set. So that's the purpose of this add command button there. Now this sheet here, this you can see this sheet here. Under the sheet, we have used data interpreter. Now when you load in a data into Tableau, when you load in a data into Tableau, when you load in your data set into Tableau, you want to clean the data set, you can use this to clean your data set. But when you click on it, it helps you to format your data set. That's what it does. It helps you to format your data set if there are empty space. It helps you to format that data set and make it to be in a better format that you won't have problem using it in Tableau. So that is what this particular command is used for. Okay, let's exercise patience. Let's exercise patience as it rules. Okay, let's exercise patience. Let's exercise patience. It seems I'm going offline now. Sorry, I hope you can still hear me. Hello. Okay, fine. Okay, let's just okay. It's still yeah, okay. It's still running. Let's exercise patience. Okay. Let's just exercise patience. It's still rolling. Please let's still exercise patience. I don't know why. Okay, let me log out and log in again. Let me go offline and come online again. Hello. Okay, I think it's okay now. Now you can see that I have the line here. That's I just observed that. Okay, fine. So that is the purpose of this particular list. You can also click this to view the results. And when you click this to view the result, it will take you to an Excel spreadsheet. When you click on it to view the results, it will tell you the changes that have been done on your data set, the formatting that was done, and so on and so forth. Okay, it's processing the request because I want to review the results. Uh, okay, let me bring up the screen. That's the report. So that's the report. Now, this is a report. Now, as you can see the report, key for understanding the data interpreted result. Use the key to understand how your data source has been interpreted to view the data source and so on and so forth. Now, data is interpreted as column header field. Data is interpreted as this, that, and that, and that. So any changes that have been done in your data, you can see. Now, for each of the sheets, you can see how it has formatted it, and so on and so forth for all the data source there. You, it how it has formatted the data set. So that is what it displays. So that is what that particular command does. That particular command helps you to see the what changes Tableau does to your data, how Tableau formats your data set. Now we have all this here. Then this is to create a union. We know a union simply means combining two data sets together. For instance, I have this here. Um, whenever you want to create a visualization, the first thing you have to drag and drop a table. Now at the bottom here, all this represents a table in my data set. Because when you go to your Excel spreadsheet, when I go to my Excel spreadsheet, for this particular, when I click on the component, you can see I only have sheet one. But when I added this additional sheets, then this particular data set here, Adventure Work Sales, I have different sheets. All this represents the sheets I have in my Excel spreadsheet. So all the sheets are Excel interpreted as a table. So each of them is interpreted as a table in Excel. So this all this here are all sheets that are misinterpreted here with by Excel. Okay, still my screen is still rolling. So all this represents sheets in that particular in this particular file, Excel file. All this represents sheets. So Excel interprets it as a table. Excel interprets it as a table. Excel interprets all this as a table. No, yeah. Okay, let's continue. So each of these represents a table in my Excel spreadsheet. When I open the Excel spreadsheet, you see I have a lot of tables in the Excel spreadsheet. Now this is an Excel spreadsheet. When we use Tableau Interpreter, Tableau brought out all this. you can see when we use this Tableau interpreter, Tableau brought out all the sheets. So you can see those are the sheets that you can see those are the sheets that are in the Excel spreadsheets when I used the interpreter. So to format that particular sheet. So when I formatted the particular sheet with Tableau interpreter, so those are all those also are what Tableau brought up. So that's one thing. So now, if I want to create a visualization in Tableau for, I have to start first and foremost. For instance, if I'm interested in, let's say, the sales data, I drag and drop here on the canvas. Now I drag and drop them on the canvas. When I drag and drop, you can see it creates this sales data. And on this other side, I have now now I have the sales data here. Now here is the database. Now okay, thank you very much. So when you want to create a visualization in Tableau, first and foremost, you have to select the tables you want to use for your visualization. Now I have different lists of tables here. And remember, I have two different source of data. I have one gun violence in US and this one is adventure works. They are not related. But normally when you are working in Tableau, we should use related data. We can use different data. But this is just for training purpose. Uh, that's why I used different data. So try to understand that. So if I want to create a data set, for instance, I want to create a visualization. Now I have to bring my table. I drag and drop here. Now when I drag and drop there, you can see it's telling me this particular sales data set. That's a table name because I drag the sales table and I drop there. The name of the sales table is sales data. So that's the name of the table. Now, the moment I drag and drop there, on this part of the panel, you can see it's divided into various parts. I have this section and I have this other section. I can click to collapse and I can click to expand. Now, this displays my data set. So I can drag here, it displays all the data set in this particular table. Now you can see some check this is some not there. So I can click on we are coming to that. Let me just leave it for now. We are coming to all that. So I can see the data set there. So I can see my data set. Okay. Okay. Now that is when I drag and drop there. So at the top of this is a database. Now it's telling me this is a data source. Now, this particular sheet one is gun violence in US. That's my current data source here. I can have new data source. You can see this particular adventure works is not added to this particular data source here. It's not added to the data source. It's not added to the data source here. So if I want to add that there, I click on new data source. It will take me back to my Excel spreadsheet for me to load this adventures work to load the adventures work to be part of this particular data source here. When I go to my sheet one here, now you can see my sheet one, I only have just gun violence in US here. When I click additional sheets, it only displays gun violence in US. Why? Because I have not added that particular um, Excel file to as part of my data source. It's not indicated here. So if I want to add this, I have to click on this. It will take me back to this screen, which I have to load my data set. Take me back to the screen to load my data set. So I click on new data source. I click on that Microsoft Excel and I click on the data source. Then when I click on that, it will be loaded in this particular database now. Now you can see I have the adventures work there. Now I click on this. Now I have the gun violence in US. So I can navigate either to any of my data sources. Recall, I repeat again, this is just for the training purpose. That is the reason I use two different data files. Normally, when you're analyzing a data source, you are getting data from various sources. It should be similar data source. So you could switch from one data source to the other data source. Because you can, when I switch on this data source, now you can switch on this data source and switch on this data source. You can see this gun violence. I'm not having anything of gun violence here. Why? Because in this particular um, data sheet now, the particular data sheet I don't what is displayed here is for this adventures work. Well, when I click on this, you can see I only have sheet 1 here, and data for sheet 1 is not being displayed. So the moment I let me drag and drop this back, I come to gun violence in US. I drag the sheet and I place it here. Now you can see the sheet 1 is now on this particular canvas here. So when you go to your sheet 1, when you go to sheet 1 or you go to any of your sheets, you can now see that the gun violence, the various fields in that particular table, gun violence in US, you can see they are now active. Now when I click on adventures work, you can see this is not active. Why? Because this particular data source here is not what being active here. Not what is being active. So there's time when you are creating a data source, you are using a data source. You can pick a data from this point. You can pick a data from this table, and you use it to create visualization. You can pick a data source from this. You can pick a data source from this, and use it to create a visualization. So let's just take it little by little. So now I have this data source being displayed. Um, I click on this. Now when I click on this, I click on this adventures work. Then I click on the sales data. I drag and drop there. Now I drag and drop there for the sales data. Now, if I want to create a visualization, for instance, I want to create a visualization. Um, okay, I want to create a visualization. I go to sheet 1. Now I'm in sheet 1. I have my total victim now. Now you can see what is being displayed is this gun violence in US. When I click on this, now I can see the tables. And I can see this particular field in what adventures works file. Now I can only see for one table. Why? Because it's only one table that is loaded here. If I want to load additional table, for instance, the product table, I drag and drop here. I create a connection between the two tables. Now, the product table and the sales table. Tableau will automatically look for a column that is available in the product table that is also identical in the sales table. It's going to look for a column that has the same column heading and use it to link the two tables together. And this part of the Tableau, you see the relationship. You can see once I look at the sales data and this is a product data. So when I click on this, it's showing me the key, the column that was used by Tableau, which is a product key. Now when I go to my product table, product data table, you can see I have a product key. Now, Tableau makes use of this column to link the data set together. Now, you can see the operator sign there. The operator sign is saying that, okay, whatever is on in this column known as product key, all the data in this column as a product key that matches the data on this product data table, Tableau should display it here. So these are the only data that will be available for your for you to use to do your analysis. Now, when you come to this side, you can see either less than or greater than. That means you are comparing the values in this particular column and the values in this particular column. If you are interested in values that are greater than or equal to, you pick any of the operator. And Tableau will display the data set here, and those will be the data set that will be available for your analysis in Tableau. So let's leave what Tableau did. Now you will need additional field for Tableau to use. You can click on this to get additional fields, but let's leave it at this for now. So now you can see I have this data set. Now when I go to sheet 2, when I click on sheet 2 now, you can see I have two tables now. I have one for the product data table and I have the sales data table. Now you can see I have two tables now available for me. Now the other data set, remember we loaded two files in Tableau. When I click on this, I can navigate to any of this. So if I want to pick let's assume I want to pick um, some field here. For instance, I want to pick a field for total victim here, and I come to this place. I want to pick a field from this particular place. I could equally pick a field from this place and drop it here. But these two data sets, these two files are not related. So that is important that you can load in more than one data file in Tableau, and you pick fields from various uh, files from various data sources and use it to create a visualization. Do you get me now? So that is that. So let's go back to okay. Now, so let's click on this adventures work. Okay, let's click on this and navigate to that adventures work. Now we have the adventures work is linked together into that particular sheet. Now, then I've already spoken about this. I've already said I'm coming to this now. Okay. Now you can see we have something like add here. This is filter. Now, when you click on this, is what I showed you earlier on. You can filter your data sets. Now, I have two sheets here, the sales data and the product data. I can decide to edit this particular filter. So I can pick a particular, I can decide to edit the filter. Well, we already talked about this dialog box here. I can decide to edit the filter. But first and foremost, we have to know which column are in the sales data and which columns are in product data. If we want to pick some data set, now I click on this. I click on this. But when I click on that, I'll be able to view the columns that are in a particular table of my data set. Now I've clicked on that. The it's going to display the columns that are in this particular table, not as a sales order table. I'm going to let it be done. I wanted to click the sales data table. So we want to view your data set, that you want to view each column that makes up a particular table. You can view that particular table using this particular way. It's still okay now. This is not the table I wanted to. This is not the table I wanted to. I wanted to get sales data. So I place my mouse pointer here. It will bring out this. I click on that. When I click on that, it will display the sales data. Now you can see all the columns I have in the sales data table. Now you can see the columns that are in the sales data table. Okay. Also, you want to see that for the other table, which is a product data table. You place your mouse pointer there. It brings up this icon. You click on view data. Then when you can see all the data sets that are in this particular table. Now you can see it's telling me the number of rows I have in that particular in this particular table and the number of fields I have in that particular table. Now it's telling me it's giving me 10,000 rows. So I can decide to reduce it. I only need 5 rows. Display just only 5 rows. Now you can see it's only displaying 5 rows. So I can pick a particular row I want to display. Let's assume I can say I want to display 8 rows and click on enter. I click on this, it only displays 8 rows. But normally by default, Tableau has a number which will be displayed, which is 10,000 there. So here you click to collapse and you click to expand that particular data set. Now I set this filter. We've already talked about the filter when I was dealing with this data menu here. We can filter our data source. Now in that sales table, now I've known that in my sales table, I have some columns in my sales data set. I have a column known as column. I can click on that column. When I can click on column, I can select the column I only need in this particular um, data set. I don't need all the whole colors. I'm not interested. Or I don't want to use all the whole color. We've already set this up. We already talked about this. And I click on OK. Whenever I click on it and I click on this, it will only display those colors in this particular data set here. Recall when I was dealing with data sets here, I edit data source. So you will edit your data. You can edit your data source here, or you can edit your data source here by adding filter to that. So let me quickly delete this off. So that's what this add filter does. It helps to filter your data set. So you need to set all this before you start creating your visualization. In case you don't need all the data, you don't want to use all the data in your data source. So instead of having too many data and start searching for a particular data, a particular field, a particular column, you can simply customize your data set before you start creating visualization, start putting your chart in Tableau. Now we have what here, union. This union helps you to create a union in your data set. I'm coming to this. I'm going to touch this in a moment, but let me quickly be done with this. Now you can see this is giving 100 rows. It's telling you that Tableau can display 100 rows of your data set. Now I drag here. You can see that it's only displaying 100 rows. You tell Tableau, I don't want 100 rows. I only need, let's say, 3 rows. You click on this button or you click on enter. But when you click on that, Tableau is going to display just only 3 rows. But by default here, Tableau displays 100 rows. Type on that and click enter. So that displays your data set. Now, also here is telling us we have 9 fields of this amount of rows in our data set. Here is the gear button. Now, in this gear button, you can do a lot of things in your data set. Now, this is show hidden field. If there's any field that is hidden in your data set, it's going to display that particular field. For instance, I have this data set here. I can click on this data set. Okay, I said hide that product key. Now, I've hidden the product key. Now, the SKU key, I could also hide that. Now, those 2 columns is hidden. Now I've hidden those 2. I've just hide those 2 columns. They are hidden. So I can click on this gear button and say show hidden field. I click on that. When I click on that, it will display the hidden field. Though they are still grayed out, but it's displaying the hidden field. So when I click on this, I click on hide, it will hide that particular field that is hidden. So I click on that. I could unhide it, I could copy, I could rename it if I want to. So it unhides that particular field. Now I click on the gear button again. I could sort my data set, sort in order. I could decide to sort it in ascending or descending order. So I could click on this. Okay, sort my data set in ascending and descending order. It will use it will sort my data set in the according to the ascending or descending order from A to Z. Now it sorts from this place. Now you can see I have C, C, L, M, P. After that I have X, S, S. Now it sorts my data source in that order. So that the rows, it sorts the rows in that order. I can say it's sorted in descending order or A to Z ascending order per table. Okay, A to Z ascending order per table. It will sort my data set from A to Z ascending order per table. Now you can see the first table here, the first column here. It's sorted that column from 210 downward. Now this icon, what we can collapse, you can collapse it to be able to see our canvas properly, and we can click on that to expand that. Now I was talking about this union. Now we've already talked about joining your data set. Now we've already created a link between your table. Now this union here helps you to create a union, just normal union in mathematics. A union B, okay, A union B, okay, it brings all the data set in A plus all the data set in B. I want them together. So we're using union. The other time we make use of this, remember the other time we make use of this, we were using this equal to this. Whatever is in this that matches this. So if whatever is in this that does not match this, it will be excluded in the data set. So it only brings what is in this and what is in this, just like something like intersect. That was because we are joining the tables together. So because we are joining the table together, it works like intersect. Remember the operator sign I told you of here? The operator sign, we say this equal to this. It works like the intersect. So now, in this case, we are now talking about the union. This works like the intersect. Remember the operator sign that I said this. So we can say this not equal to. Now, if this one is not equal to, so whether it's equal to or not equal to, it brings it in. Then in this particular case, now we're talking about union. We can create a union of your data set. Now, we can create a union this way. I drag and drop this on the canvas. I could now bring this product data and you can see the union coming up here. That creates a union in my data set. Okay, let's wait is let it is rolling, let it respond. So I'll just drag the field. Now you can see now I click on this. It has created the union. I click on this to edit the union. If I want to edit the union, you can see the product data and the sales data. It has really created a union between the two data sets. So what union that is created is being displayed, is what is being displayed here, where there's union between the two data sets. So let me undo this. Okay, I bring this to create a union here and drop it there. So that will create a union between the two data sets, that two particular table. It's going to create the union between the two that table. So the other way of creating a union is to click on this, and so click on this to create a union. That's the other way to create a union. So click on that to create a union. So if I want to create it now, I can click on this. I use it to create a union. So let me drag and drop this on the canvas. Then I click on this. Now I've clicked on that. Now we can use this to create a union, manually to create a union between a data set. So you drag your data set and you drop it there and you create a union between the two data sets and you click on OK. But when you do that, it creates a union between the two data sets. Oh, I'm sorry for that. I'm very sorry for that. Okay, now, so to create a union between the two data sets, I can make use of this in creating a union between my data sets. So I click on this, I drag and drop there. So I click on apply, and I've created a union between the two data sets. Let's wait is so let's just say size patience is loading the data set. So I've created a union between the two data sets, just like in mathematics, A union B. So while creating your visualization, it's going to bring. The screen is not showing anymore. Oh, sorry for that. Again, the network. Now you can see that this I've created the union between the two data sets. Now you can see that A union B, it brings up every data in table A and every data in table B. Now you can see it's loading the data set now. So while creating visualization, you know that all the data sets in table A and all the data sets in table B will be available for your visualization. So before you start creating visualization in time, you have to take note of all this. Are you are you connecting your tables together? Are you not connecting your tables together? You have to take note of the operator signs. So are you using where A matches B? That's field in A that matches field in B, or are you using the union? Are you using the union of your data sets? Also, you can also create intersects. Despite we have an operator here, we can also create an intercept. Let you finish rolling. I'm going to show us how to create an intercept. So once you are done with all this, before you can start creating visualization in Tableau, because you've already set your data set, the data that you want to use to create visualization, you've excluded your wanted data, the data set, and you are not interested in those data that you don't want to use in creating your visualization. You exclude all those data. Then, once you are done with all that, you are good to go. It's still rolling. Let's exercise a little bit of patience. Let's still exercise a little bit of patience. It's still rolling. Okay, I think this is taking too long. Let me try to see. Let me remove it. Okay, I've removed that there. So let me bring in a single data. Let me bring in the product data. Okay, I was saying something about hmm, it's taking time to load. Okay, okay. Now let's go to sheet one. Now we're in sheet one of now we have the file menu here. We are familiar with all those ones. Now we have the data menu here. Here you can edit to blend relationship. This is a new data source. Once you click on this, that means you want to add another data source to our data sheet here. That means we want to add more data source here. We already have the data here. We already have one, two. So the moment you click on that, the moment you click on that, the moment you click on that, it has another data source here. Yes, to edit to blend your relationship. Now I want to pick data sets for this. I have the US gun violence currently here that's active here. Okay, I want to pick from here. I have adventures work. Now I want to pick data sets here. Now that what this does. So that's what this relationship does. So I want to pick a data set. I want to join data sets here to blend my data sets. That's what we use this particular blend for. Tells you to blend to pick data sets from this from the various from this table from this particular file and this particular file. Then go to worksheet. Now the worksheet one we can create a new worksheet using this. Now you can see I only have one and two worksheets here. If I want to create additional worksheet, I can click on this and click on new worksheet. When I click on new worksheet, it creates a new worksheet. Alternatively, I can right click here and I have a list of options here and click on new worksheet. When I click on new worksheet, it creates a new worksheet there. Then I could right click here as well. I have other options like a dashboard. A dashboard is where just like a notice board where various information are being posted. So when in Tableau, each sheet is used to create a particular visualization. For instance, I want to look at I'm looking at the gun violence in US. I drag this I drag and drop this on the location and I said I want to see the total victim for each of the gun violence I've called in US. Now this visualization, if I want to create another visualization, I have to come here again to create another visualization entirely. For instance, I want to see the race. Um, I want to look at gun violence in US. Let's say I want to look at it by the race. I create this, let's say total victim along the column. Now, for in each of them is each sheet you create a visualization, each sheet you create a visualization. Once you are done creating all this visualization, you will create what we call a dashboard and paste everything, all your information on the dashboard. So that's what the dashboard is, just a collection of information of your a collection of your data sheet. So I can right click on any of these sheets and create a new dashboard. Or I click on this creates additional sheets. This creates additional sheets. Why this creates a new dashboard? So you can see I click on that to create a new dashboard, or I can click on any of these sheets to create a new dashboard. But when I click a new dashboard, let me change the size of this to automatic. Then I have my sheet one. I drag my data and drop it there. I drag my data and I drop it there. So that creates the dashboard. So that's what that is used for. So we have a lot and a lot of things to do there. Now we can create a new story. Now a new story is it gives a kind of description about your data set. So you talk about your data sets. That's what it does. We can either create a new story here, or we come to this icon after the dashboard here. You have the next one, create a new story, or you can create a new story by clicking on this and go to new story. So you create a new story. Now, when creating a new story here, you have a caption here. You can add a caption to your story. I can say US gun violence. Okay, that's the name of my story. Now, that's the story. Your story, you have a story. We have a layout of the story. And this is the layout. These are the caption box. Now, this is the number, because at times you might have more than one page. That's you give it number. You number your story. And so that is what that is used for. So just drag your visualization and keep it there. And then you can also add the text. You have the text field there, and you type the text, and so on and so forth. So that is what that particular option does. Now we can also copy and then paste. But now I remember I told you that this Tableau public is limited. With this Tableau public, I can't copy this and paste somewhere else, but I can copy the formatting feature of this. For instance, I can copy the formatting feature of this, and I come to this place to paste the formatting feature of that there. So if I um, do any form of formatting here, if I should format this particular data set here, if I should format it here, let's assume I want to format, okay, let me pick something to format here. Okay, I have something here. So let me close this. So if I click on this, that I copy the formatting there. So when I come to the sheet, I can see I want to paste the formatting there. So I paste the formatting. Now you can see the color here. It changes to that color and there, so on. But I can't copy this particular the data table data set, but rather I can duplicate this. When I right click, you can see duplicate. Once I duplicate, it duplicates this particular sheet. Then I could delete it, which I right click and delete. So if I want to delete, I right click and click on delete. So also when you right click here, we can also duplicate as a cross tab. In other words, it will bring it in the form of a table, a cross tab. Yeah, that is duplicate this as a cross tab in the form of a table. So it duplicated that particular sheet and displays it in the form of a table. So I can delete all this. Yeah. So I can also rename my dataset just like in Excel, that you can rename your dataset. I can decide to rename it and call this US. Let's say gun violence. So that is it. So we can also rename sheet. So let me delete this off. I don't need all this. So we can also give it a color. Right click and go to this. You pick any color to give it a color that colors that particular sheet. Then now, so now we have a lot of options here. Now, if I want to clear, in case I did any formatting, I want to clear the format. For instance, clear sheet. It clears up the sheet. Let's clear formatting. Every formatting is off. Now I want to clear the sheet. I clear the sheet is empty. Okay, let me undo that action. Use the undo button to undo the action. I can also clear the sheet by coming to this all the shortcut commands here. Now you can see I click on this, it clears off the sheets. Let me undo that. Now I have options here. If I manually size this, for instance, let me manually size this since I want to see the names. Okay, let me reduce a bit. Let me undo that. So let's assume I manually size that, and I want to clear that. I can come here to clear my manually size sheet, or I come to this place and clear any manually size I've done on my data set. Now we come to the worksheet here. Now this action button. Now the action button works in different ways, diverse ways in which we can use the action button. A different way you can use the action button. Now you can see currently I have this here. Now this is the various places which gun violence occurred in US. Okay, I have the various place here. Now I can now I could let me see what I can use for the action button. Okay, let me clear up this. Let me assume that I have this gun violence that occurred in US. Let's say I have it by mail. I have the total number of victims. Now I have the total number of victims. I can use this to change that. You can see use this to change that. I can use it to sort it ascending or descending order. That's sort it ascending or descending order of magnitude. Why this add a new data source? That is similar to what we've seen here. If I want to add a new data source there, so that's the shortcut key. Can also add a new data source there. Can also use that command to add a new data source, or we do it there. Yeah, so that does that. Then why this, you can see I click on entire view, it gives me a larger picture of that. I click on fit to height or fit to width. I can fit to height and standard. So it gives you various view of your visualization. So that's what it does. It gives you various view of your visualization. Why this you can show or hide the card. There's a lot of things here. Now this works a lot with all this here. Now you can see the title here. This is my title. So I can call this gun violence by race. So I can align this, I broaden it, I change the font, make it bigger, I can change the font style, I make it a taller, and so on, and I click on apply. We can also use this, but I'm coming to that, and okay. Now you can see that. So that is the title. But when I uncheck this, the title is no longer there again. So if I want to bring it back, I click on that to bring it back. Or I go to my sheets, I come to show title. I click on show title. It will display the titles. So it will display the title field. Or I click on this and I come to caption. I need a caption for it. I click on that. At the bottom here, you can see a caption with a description. It's telling me that the caption here is race and some of total victim is the size. So that's the caption. So if I want to uncheck that, I click on this to uncheck it, or I come to my sheet. I go to caption. You can see it's checked. I click on that to uncheck it. Now I have here, I have summary. I go to the sheet here. I have summary. Show summary. It summarizes my data sets here. So I can click on this to uncheck the summary. I can come to this place and click on it to uncheck it. I click on it again to remove the check back there, or I simply click the drop down arrow here and click on hide card. That would be hidden there. So the summary is off. Now highlighter works with ways. Let's leave that. That helps you. Um, let's leave this highlighter. It is you will use it to highlight a specific section. Now, okay, I've clicked on it now. The way highlighter works, when you pick a particular highlighter, so it's telling me the black race. Click on that. So we can clear up that here. We can click that off here. I will pick on the particular way. Let's leave this for the moment. Let's just leave this highlighter now. Okay, now we have this. Now we have the column shelf, the row shelf, the page shelf. Now this is the column shelf. This represents the column shelf. This represents the row shelf, and this represents the page shelf. There's a page shelf in case your visualization is in pages, especially when it comes to storytelling. You make use of space. Then you have the filter shelf. There's a filter shelf, and you have the mark shelf. The moment I click on any of this, it removes that shelf, the column shelf. Then I come back and I click on the row shelf, uncheck it. It removes the row shelf off. So when I come back to click on it again, it brings it back. I go to my sheet and I come to show card and I click on row shelf, it brings it back. When I come to my sheet, I go to show card, the page shelf. I click on the page shelf, the page shelf is off. I go back there and I go to show card. I click on the filter shelf. That unchecked, you can see, is off. So if I want to bring it back, I come here to bring it back. Or I navigate through this to bring it the page shelf. Now you can see at the bottom here, I can simply drag it and take it to the top. Okay, and put it back to where it is located, or I can leave it there, whichever way. I bring the filter here, I can drag that and drop it here. So I drag the filter and drop it where it ought to be, or I could drag it and bring it down here if I'm okay with it. If you are okay with that, you drag and you drop it there. So that is that. Now we still, what else again do we have? Show summary, the show card. Shows now the max card. This is the max card. That's the max card, the max shelf. So I can come to this place and click on this. You can see it's no longer there. So when we click on this, it brings it back. So all these are just a shortcut icon while the main menu are located in the menu here. So we come to the sheet. Now this shows the toolbar. We say it should be automatic. Now I want to say show on over. Now you can see the toolbar here. When I on over it, it brings it up. It's no longer here, but when I set on the toolbar on over, I place my mouse pointer that you can see the toolbar there. So I can click on this. For instance, I drag my visualization, especially when you're working with a Mac. For instance, I want to create a visualization here, a map. There's still a lot of things we need to do here. Okay, let's just, for instance, I want to create a map. I come to this. I want to create a map. I want to, in order for me to create this map, I want to see, now you can see location, where gun violence occurred in US. You can see Michigan, and the place in Michigan, you can see California, the place in California. I want to split these columns into two. Now we can do a lot of things here. I'll come back to this one in a second. I click on this. Now I've splitted this into two. The location is being split into two. Now you can see I have location split one, location split two. I can come to this and rename that, and let me call that, let's say that state. I call that state, and I go back to my visualization. I can see the states there in my visualization. Where is it? The state there. Now I can change this to, because I can't work with it, I must change it to a globe, so that I'm not able to identify that this is a state. Now it has identified that this is state. I'm going to double click on this. When I double click on that, it's giving me aggregate. Now I want to click that. I have my state there. Let me just repeat that. Okay, fine. Then I've done that. Then the next thing I want to create, I just want to create a map with my state. Now you can see showing me unknown. I click on that. I can see correct the unknown. Now, why is giving me unknown? You can see I'm not having any states here. Why? Because Tableau can identify the states in my dataset because it's showing um, Nigeria here. So I have to change that that the country is not Nigeria, that is United States. So I click on United States. Now once I'm done with that, the next thing again I am going to do. Now I still have one state here. Let me call that Louisiana. And I click on OK. Now I'm not able to identify the state there. So once I drag and drop, they create a state there. So now I want to show us how to use this map. So I can drag now to see the hidden parts of my visualization. So that is what this does. That's what that control does. Show the toolbar on over and hide. When you click on hide, it hides that particular toolbar. Now this shows sort control. This is control to sort your data set. Why this to describe your sheets. Now it gives you a brief description of this particular sheet. Now it describes the sheet that the latitude is on the row, longitude is on the row, total victim is colored, and so on and so forth. You can also copy it and you want to paste it somewhere, copy it and you paste it wherever you want to paste it. So that's how this works. So let's go back to our data source. That is something we want to do. Now let's look at the data type in Tableau. There are different types of data type in Tableau. And now when I place my mouse pointer here, you can see I have this. Now it's giving me ABC. This tells you that this is a text data type. Now it's giving me a globe symbol. It's telling me this is the location data type. That's why it's being identified with a globe symbol. Now whenever you see the numerical data type, it will identify that with an arch symbol. So if I want to see the different type of data type in Tableau, I click on this. It will show me the different types of data type in Tableau. I click on the ABC. Now you can see we have the number data type, that's the decimal. We have a number data type, the whole number. We have the date and time data type. We have the date data type. We have a string data type. We have the spatial data type, which is the location data type. And we have the Boolean data type, which is yes or no data type, and the default data type. You can change your data type in Tableau from one form to another. You can convert your data type in a particular column from one form to another. For instance, this is a string data type. Though it's not good for me to convert that, so let me see if I can have a date data type here. Let me drag this date here. Okay, this is a date. Okay, let me make use of the date data type. Now this is the date data type now. Okay, I have the date data type here. Okay, let's assume I convert that to a numerical number, to a whole number. Now I've converted that to a number. Now you can see it's giving me the number with decimal. So I can convert number with decimal, I can convert it to a whole number, convert the date to a whole number, it's giving me a whole number. So you can convert from one data, from one data format to another data format, this data time. It will give me in the form of date and time. Now I can drag to expand so I can see it properly. Now I click on this. I want to see it in the form of a date. It gives me in the form of a date. Now I drag this to see it. I want to see it in the form of a string. It gives me in the form of a string data type. I click on Boolean data type, yes or no. It will give me not because it's not in the Boolean data type format. Now a default format is to give you the default format, which is the normal date format. So that's the date format there. So this you can convert from one data type to another data type in Tableau. Okay, now let's go back to our sheet. Now we are here in the sheet. So let me drag this position it well, and let me remove that control. So now we have the dashboard. Now the dashboard helps you to create a dashboard. You organize your data set. Now we already have this here. I already have my data set. Let's assume I created this visualization. I want to create a dashboard. I click on this and create new dashboard. Now this is my dashboard now if I want to view my dashboard in various formats, first and foremost, this is the default format for my dashboard. Now I've created visualization in this sheet. I've created visualization in this sheet. Now I've created a dashboard. I drag and drop it there. Now you can see the size is small. I drag and drop it here. I drag and drop this here. Now you can see it's a very smaller size. So let me change this to let's make it inside view. Okay, now I can change the size of my, I can change the size. I can go to the range, and the range here I can change it to automatic. It becomes larger as I drag and drop my visualization. My visualization will automatically resize themselves. So then we could pick any of this. We could pick any of the size here of the screen here. We could pick any of the size there of the screen there. So now this is a default view of my screen. Now this is meant for presentation. This is meant for presentation. We want to present your data sets. You want to do a presentation. You use this particular data set. You want to do a presentation. Use that for your presentation. That's what that works for. But before then, let's talk about this. Now, this is in phone view. In other words, when I click on this, we have different view of our data sets here. Now I click on this view. Now this particular dashboard will appear on the phone. Now currently it's locked. But when I click on this, I click on edit mode. I can edit this particular visualization. I can edit it. I can drag and resize it. I can reduce this a bit. So now this tells me that when someone will view this particular visualization on his phone, this is how it's going to look like. That's the phone view. That's this particular phone view. We're coming to that. Let's click on device view. Now this device view, you look at this particular point, we have the different types of device. Now we have the phone. When I click on phone, it gives me different types of device here. Phone is selected as a default. Now, when I click on this, it gives me different types of phone. Now, when I click on the next, for instance, iPhone 10, this is how the visualization would look like when someone will view it on the iPhone. When someone will view it on the iPhone, that's how the visualization will look like when someone view it on the iPhone. I can click on Samsung Galaxy. It will show you how someone will view it on Samsung Galaxy. Or I click on this arrow, I'll begin to see how people will be able to view the dataset on different types. Okay, let's continue. Now, if I want to view it, how it's going to look like on the tablet. Now, you want to view if someone that's going to view your dashboard on the tablet, how it's going to look like. We can see this how it's going to look like on the tablet, and we have different screen for a tablet. These are the various type of screen for a tablet. You want to see it on iPad mini tablet, then you see how it's basically going to see your dashboard. This how it's going to basically see your dashboard on that. So we want to see how it will look like on the desktop. This is how your visualization will look like on a desktop. So now let me wipe up this. Now let's go back to my sheet one. Now I've already gotten gone. Uh, let's assume I look at I want to let me create a simple visualization here. Now this is gun violence by location in US. That's the previous location where gun violence occurred in US. Also, I've already created another visualization here. Let's assume I create another additional sheet. Okay, now this deals with. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, fine. I have those three visualization now created. Now I want to create my dashboard. I've just created three simple visualization. Remember, we are on the dashboard menu. We are on the dashboard menu. We are going to check all the. We're going to look at all this command one after the other. We are on the dashboard menu. Now I created just a simple visualization in Tableau. Now I drag this and I drop it there. But before doing that, I have some commands here. Now this is vertical. If I want to use it horizontal, I need horizontal container. When I click on that, now I'm telling Tableau that well, either you click on it or you drag and drop inside the dashboard canvas. So when I drag and drop here, it will display it horizontally. It will display that horizontally. Now you can see it displays it horizontally, and I drag my touch sheet and I drop it there. It displays my visualization horizontally. Why? Because I've already selected horizontal dashboard here before I start dropping. I drag and drop it into the dashboard. So if I want to create additional dashboard, for instance, let me create another, sorry, this is a story. Let me create another dashboard. Now this is another dashboard. If I want it to be in vertical format, let me change the size. Remember, I already talked about this. We can change the size here to automatic. Okay, now I want it to be vertical. Either you click on it or you drag and drop inside the canvas here. Now I want it to be vertical. I drag and drop it here, and I pick on my second sheet. I drag and drop it there. I drag my second sheet and sorry, let me undo that. I pick on my second sheet. I drag and drop it there. Now it's giving me vertical. Let's let's delete this. Let me do away with this. Okay. Now I click on okay vertical. Fine. We're in order. It's giving me the right thing. Okay, this is horizontal. Okay, this is horizontal. Okay, this is horizontal. Drag and drop here. So once you drag and drop here, it gives you that horizontally. No, let me close it here. Okay, let me drag and drop here. Then we can adjust it. Now we can adjust it here. So let me click on this. Now this is tie. This command is tie. That's when we drag and drop here. It gives me in the form of tie. That's why I'm getting that. But when I click on float, for instance, I drag and drop here, I have a tie, and I click on float. I drag my other visualization and drop it here. Now you can see I'm clicking on this, I can move around with it. Now you can see that on float. When I drag this and drop here, that is on the float because I selected float before drag and drop. Now this type of visualization is very good whenever you want to place a data set. For instance, I drag and drop this here. Let me click on tie. Let me click on vertical container. Then let me drag and drop this here. Now, I've dragged and dropped there. I want to place this here. So let me click on float, drag and drop that here, or at the corner here. Then we can resize that. Click on this to resize that there. Then I want to bring up this other visualization and drop it here. I can resize that there. So that's how the float works. So that is how the float works. Now you can see I only created 3 visualization and I created only 3 visualization and I bring it here on my dashboard and I display it on my dashboard here. Now in this particular place here in your dashboard, this is where you are going to, in case you want to use it for presentation, you click on this. When you click on that, you can start doing your presentation with this particular um, view. I can start explaining your data set in this particular presentation. So you want to exit it, you come to this place, you see the icon, you click to exit or you click on escape key on your keyboard to exit from that. So that is for the dashboard. Then there's a lot of things again we can do with that. Let me we want to remove this. You can click on this to remove. There are lots of we can work with all of this. And I'm coming to this. I'm going to show us how we can work with all of this on our dashboard. I'm going to show us how we can work with all of that on our dashboard. But let's remove this a little bit. Let me remove this. You can remove it from the dashboard, or you click on this to remove it from the dashboard. I'm going to show us how we can work with all of that, all this on the dashboard, how we can work with all of this on the dashboard. Okay, I can show you. Okay, let's click on this just to remove this. Now, we can ask our data set question, but this will take me to log in into Tableau. We can add an image, drag and drop it here. Okay, let me leave it there. Now, this is a float. If I want to do, I can drag the image here. Remember, I clicked on float, drag and drop it here. Well, when I drag and drop there, that's a float. Now, it brings the edit image dialog box. Now, it brings the edit image dialog box. Now, I have insert image, link to an image. If the image is online, I can click on this to bring in the URL of the image. Also, this is a description of the image. So let's assume I want to pick an image from my dataset. I could just click on this to pick an image from my system. I click on this to pick an image on my system. I double click on that. You can see the image here, and I click on apply. When I click on apply, you can see the image there, and I click on OK. I can drag the image from this point here. I drag it, and I decide to resize it. I decide to resize it the way I want it to look like. I can resize it the way I want it to look like. So sorry for that, as I can resize it with that. So that is for the link. Now we have a lot of things here. We can also add filter to data set there. We can add filter to the data set there. We can add filter there. Um, Now let's look at the web page. Let's pick the web page so we can go to something else. Now I can drag and drop this here for the web page. I can drag and drop that there for the web page. Now you can see it's asking for a URL. Okay, let me remove this and let me remove this. Now let me take it. Let me select the type button, drag and drop this here. Now it's asking for a URL. Now I, so I'm going to go up to Google now. I'm going to go to Google. Remember, this is gun violence in US. I'm going to go to Google and type a particular. I'm going to go to Google now and type a particular country in US. So let me go to Google.